Hello, my human family. Today I have got one of my favorite people online who we've we've known each other from several venues, back and forth on Facebook and Twitter and YouTube, and for like years. It seems like 100 years now, but everything seems like 100 years my age. Um,
Hmm.
I've called her my redheaded little sister for years, and I stopped doing that at one point, and I will start again if it's all right with her. But
Absolutely.
it is the one, the only Chrisiosity.
Hello.
Hello, Chris. Um, can I just call you Chris? Is that all right?
Absolutely.
Okay. Um, the the thing that you didn't know when I first came out, and I think the first time you saw it was on Twitter, was that I actually took the spelling of my name from you. From
Aw.
and it was going to be Christy, but it was a toss up between the various ones, and I said, all right, um, going for Christy after Christy Winters, and the spelling from yours.
Well,
So
it's the best spelling.
it is the best spelling.
Objectively. So,
Um, yes, I agree. And I have a key. My mom sent me a keychain when she was finally okay with all this,
aw.
with it on it. So I have that sitting on my desk because my car's in the shop.
Yeah.
And gosh, how are you doing?
I am doing all right. How are you?
I'm doing all right. I'm doing all right. I had to run it. I had to hop out of bed and get ready and do this thing. So, which is the way things work for me lately.
Uh,
Um, the the usual question here is, who are you and what do you do? And we can break that down in any small pieces you like.
I am a YouTuber and Twitter person. Um, and I talk a lot about social justice, about politics, about things related to making the world a better place, and sometimes about other stuff too that I just enjoy talking about.
Well, you were one of the things that I dug up recently because I wanted to show someone that it existed because they didn't believe me, was the when they had the questions white men have for SJWs,
Yes.
and the response, which you were part of, is still around.
Oh
But
God.
the original was actually, but the actual, the motivating thing was hard to find.
Hmm.
Um, do you, are we still okay to call ourselves SJWs?
Um, yeah, I don't care. Like it's not the worst thing I've been called at all. By a lot. It is a term used as a pejorative, but I think it's a little telling that there are people who find that pejorative, you know? Like, okay, yeah, this is a bad thing, sure.
Yeah, we want social justice. Um, the one thing I don't like is when they say reactionary left is the one that is the new social, because we had social justice warrior before gamer gators took it over,
Mm.
but um, calling it the reactionary left, which is like, well, I do not understand the term. I like being on the left. I am further left than I usually show online.
Mm.
uh, but yeah, the we since social justice advocacy, we'll put it in those terms, is your main thing. What is it that sets you off? When do you decide to do a video? Because your videos are sort of like um, reactions, not reactionary, just reactions, mostly to something that's going on that you just said. It looks like, hello, I've had enough of this now.
Yeah. um, well, I think that, when I first decided to come onto YouTube, this is a long time ago now, years back, maybe 2015, I think, something
Yeah.
like that. Um, I was looking on, and I have a lot of interests, and I didn't have sort of a set goal of which way I was going to go or what I was going to do. It was probably going to be history or politics or culture or something like that. But I was sort of looking around, and I had no idea that there was this huge reactionary, vicious mob-like attacking force out there that had made YouTube its home. And I was like, oh, well, I've got to do something about that. Like, that's because I'm older than your average YouTube feminist.
Yes.
A
Me
little
too.
bit, and I've been around the block, and, it's like, I saw these people, they would attack, how it was, these huge YouTubers would go and hunt down what they called bedroom feminists, these young girls or young women who would sit on their bed and talk about how feminism is about equality and everything is good. And then they would take these horrible, horrible video takedowns of them and send all of their just troll armies to just, would just harass them to pieces. And then they would get off, they would run, they would turn off their channels, and they would stop making videos because it was just too abusive. And I was like, well, I'm sorry, an old person like me, try it, you little bitches. It's like, because I know I'm at an age where I know who I am, I know what I stand for, and there's only so much you can push me around. So I said, well, I can do that. I can be that person. I can, take that. So, I mean, I don't think there's any rule of when I get so ticked off that I have to do something. A lot of times it's when I've already been thinking about something, when I've already been thinking about a video that I would like to do, or something that I think that could use a little more educating or a little more enlightenment upon it. And then somebody will happen to just kick that thing, just put out that little something that will just set me off. And because of the confluence of that, I've already been thinking about it, and now I've got a reason for it. So that will on one thing, anger is a motivator, and it does sort of put your ass in gear. And the second is that, for better or for worse, these kinds of videos get more traction.
Well,
They get views that others don't. So
I would imagine you're well, you've got a good way of breaking down things into their component parts and putting them back together and say, look at this, look at this, look at this. This is what you're doing, and it's a hard. You have a hard way of you have a way of argumentation that is very hard to argue with. Which is a compliment.
well, thank you.
In a very roundabout way. I'm sorry, though I muddled it up a bit, but
Oh, Not at all. I take it as a compliment, absolutely.
Um, the well, you've definitely I, I can see when you're well, since we see each other on Twitter and on Facebook, and um, I can see the spark. I'm like, okay, there's a video coming any second now.
Mm.
um, because there's a definite mama bear quality going on. Uh,
Yeah.
um, I went back and looked at a couple of the when some of your older videos where you'd be defending when people were attacking like kids and stuff, um, 17, 18, 19-year olds who
Sometimes even younger. These bastards.
yes. And I went back and looked to see what happened to most of them, and if they stuck around or not. The unfortunate thing I saw was that the few who are around have changed their channel focus entirely,
Mm.
um, which is the if I didn't dislike what some of these, and we'll just use the word chud because
Mhm.
why not? Um, if there's anything they can really be just slapped upside the head for, metaphorically, don't punch Nazis unless you can get away with it. Um, it's crushing people,
Mm.
and um, you have managed to not get crushed. And one of the reasons I came back after I came out was because, okay, I'm here, come at me.
Mm.
um, I don't know. I don't know what you think of all of that. That's
No, I think, I think it's maybe it's a benefit of age or of just having been through it that, you know, um, I think that some people are genuinely, when you go up against a certain kind of reactionary, a certain kind of chud, I think many people make excuses for them or give them the benefit of a doubt in the way that I do not. I know who I'm dealing with here. So when they come at me in the way that is threatening or really over the top or really just designed to hurt me as much as they possibly can, right? I I expect that. It's not something that takes me by surprise. The vitriol doesn't take me by surprise. And I've already learned over the years what to do with that or how to deal with it. Um, so, but yeah, if you go after a kid, like an actual kid, oh, man, let me tell you, I will. I am not okay with that, and it is hard because I do think part of it is that I have children,
yeah,
and that just you know you get that vibe in you of being the protective parent person. So
yeah. I was never good at being the mom. I was never good at being the dad. I was pretty good at being the mom, but she
yeah.
put my ex-wife in a strange place. But the but yeah, I get it, and that's one of the reasons I mean I get angry with it too. And yeah, it was, I probably shouldn't have done this, and when I was going through your older stuff, mostly. Um, and some of it I had to dig up, which, was hard to do. Um, and looking up these people to see what it was heartbreaking, actually.
Mm.
I don't mean to bring you down here.
No, I mean it was. There was a oh God, he was probably like 13. The person that Bering specifically went after.
Yeah.
Because he was 13 years old and he was clearly neurodivergent in some way, autistic or something of the like. And he made a video where he just sort of laughed at Bering, and we're talking about somebody who had 20 subscribers. So when Bering made the video about him, there were people coming into his comment section, and I should give a trigger warning here because some of the things that were said were incredibly vile.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so like these were some violent people telling him he should be castrated, people telling him he should be murdered, and these are grown men.
Yeah.
So I was in his comment section yelling at people like, the fuck is the matter with you, you little fucking, and
I'm not monetized. You can say fuck as many times as
okay.
you want.
I said it many times that day. And let me tell you, and I do think it had an impact because part of the reason that they do the things that they do is because they don't expect direct pushback. They don't expect anybody to come after them. They come in force. There's a lot of them all at once. It's not something you could argue. They don't come by themselves to talk to somebody one-on-one. They come when there's 3 or 4 or 5 or 600 people coming with them. So they're not looking for somebody. And it wasn't just me. There were several other people who were there as well. Just like putting up and saying, no, you're a fucking adult, you piece of shit. What the hell are you doing here? Like, what are you bullying a child for? What the fuck? So this kid, he sent me some messages for a little while, and he said, I wanted to thank you for helping. And then he sort of disappeared. And I've always kind of wondered where he went or what he did after the fact. Because he did, like you said, he made a couple of videos that were, he changed his name and his avatar and all of that. And then he made a couple videos that were, I think, about bronies or something.
Yeah, I know. I thought I knew who you were talking about. Now I definitely do.
Yeah. And this was done knowingly. I mean, the person I'm talking about, Bering here, said in his letter, basically, you sound like a 13-year-old virgin with your voice cracking like that. His voice was going through the change. And so he was well aware that this was a kid.
Yeah. Have you? This I couldn't find out. Have you ever spoken to Baron directly?
Like live? No.
Oh, okay.
I won't talk to him.
Well, oddly enough, the two people I won't talk to online are. If Baron were to say, "Okay, let's talk," I would go, "Absolutely, I will eat you."
Yeah.
He's he, I've I my my stepfather's family was very much like that, and eventually I had to learn not to not to lose the argument, because otherwise I'd get beat up.
Oh God.
the um the but yeah, if someone like Bearing were to say, oh, let's have a talk, I'd be yeah, okay, it's going to be on your channel, I'm not putting you on mine. But I would do it. There are only two people I won't talk to out of all of YouTube, and they would surprise you, so it's okay. um
Go ahead.
the Rationality Rules and Rachel Oates.
Oh, well, I can understand that.
um Rachel, because there's no chance I could win. There's nothing I could do that would win, or not win, but that would be useful.
Right. No, I
And,
agree with that.
and um, my first encounter with her fandom was 600 people, and someone was very nice enough to count how many people. To say 600 people piling on me.
Mhm.
Um, someone was nice enough to say that means they won, which we count it up and say that means they won. So
Yeah.
I don't want to deal with her fandom.
Yeah.
And Rationality Rules, just because I can't figure out what he's about, and I don't think I could ever get through to him.
No. People who are incredible, like, I don't know if I'm supposed to say, like, people that I know who've talked to him, who are just some of the most intelligent, compassionate, um, reasonable people you could ever hope to have a conversation like this with. The most educational, willing to hold your hand and explain things far more than I will. Like, at a certain point, if I've explained something to you a couple of times and you're still going, but what if, and and being just obtuse about it, then I'm gonna, at that point, the conversation is gonna change, and it's not gonna be me being nice anymore. But there are some people who will, like, they have that patience. It's incredible. And if they couldn't do it, then there's no way I can.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I'm the patient person. I'm very, very patient. I will talk to somebody until I will talk people until they give up.
Mm.
I mean, I'll be as humanly patient as I can. I have done what you've done and gone in when somebody's attacking somebody, like
Mm.
swarming them. Um, especially someone younger. And yes, that does the same. It brings out my mama bear.
Mm. Yeah.
It's I there was an argument on Twitter which flustered me, because it was my friends attacking each other, and I couldn't do anything. I kept trying to stop it, and it was not. That's where I get flustered, and my patience runs out, and I just think it's all my fault, and I have to go to bed.
Oh. Well, it's, and I said this to somebody who was attempting to make peace between me and another person. And the truth of the matter is, neither of us wanted peace. We wanted to fight. We had an issue between us that needed um, a good knockdown, drag out. Let's settle this thing, or let's figure out that we can't settle it. Like, sometimes that just happens. And I had a friend that kept getting in between and trying to, and finally I just told him, I said, this is only going to frustrate and hurt you because we're not gonna back down from this fight. We both are in this place, and you know, you might as well just let us do this, because it's got to get done. Like sometimes things, it's funny because people who know me in real life are often very surprised to see that, like on Twitter or on YouTube, I can be very argumentative, because the way that I am, 99% of things don't bother me. Like it's the 1% of things that bother me that really, really bother me, and I'm not going to back down. So if you hit me in one of those places where I'm not prepared to back down, like, no, this is my hill to die on. I'm sorry to tell you, but.
Well, Oxford commas is probably my only trigger. So, you use your semicolons correctly. God damn it! I think that was teaching a year in a prison. So, I read the. You will learn to use a semicolon. God damn you!
It's the last thing I ever do. I will teach you to do this right.
Yeah, exactly. So it may be just flashback problems. No, I tend to be. I don't know how I tend to look online. I'm very. People know a lot more about my personal life than I probably should let out. Um, People know almost nothing about your personal life, and that is your choice, and I absolutely respect it. I retooled my usual thing for you, which
Mm-hmm.
I retool it for everybody, however they want to approach. Um, the only thing in your personal life, and I'm going to bring up something from years ago, and I can sort of hear you like crunching up, and it is not anything. Uh, Being approached by the estate of Liechtenstein.
Oh, yes. Well, this is funny because, like, first of all, I want to say I haven't talked about bearing in a long time. So the fact that I'm going to start talking about bear, like, it's going to sound weird, like I have this weird thing with bearing, but it just is coming up because of this interview. But bearing for a long time was just straight taking his avatar off of some cartoon from I don't know where. I can't even remember what the name of this cartoon was. It was something that he got, and he just straight took the bear that they used in there, and he used it as his avatar.
Yep.
And I used a Liechtenstein painting. Now, what should be understood is that, Liechtenstein's been dead for 30 years. He was an appropriations painter.
Yes.
Right. So he took other people's works of art, and he would tweak them a little bit and put them in a different, like, context. But these were things that he, like, straight lifted out of other people's works. That was we could discuss appropriations art and the theories behind it and all of that. But, like, to me, that was an art joke to appropriate an appropriations painter.
Sure.
Don't tell art jokes. Rule number 1. So never tell an art joke. So, but I used it, and it wasn't like a big deal to anybody, I don't think, for a long time. And technically, Liechtenstein does not have the you can't they can't be sued for, they can't really sue you for this, right? Because
Right.
they don't actually own the rights to any of this stuff, because all the stuff was stolen in the first place. And this is something that has gone through courts at this point, right?
Sure.
Um, but they would love to, because it's a lot of money. So good. So, whatever. In any event, Bering, some people went after him, and he had to take down a lot of his videos, and they had gone and they'd told whoever it was that he stole the avatar from, like it was some, and this was like a cartoon from like 4 years before or something, I don't remember. Nothing old or anything. I had nothing to do with that. And when people approached me about it, I said, I can't tell you what to do, but I don't think it's a good idea. Like, because this isn't like, go after people for the ideas that they have or something, but what's the point of going after his avatar? He can change his avatar. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it's just a pointless thing to do. But people did it, and it did. It got a lot of his videos taken down because, in fact, he had been um, uh, stealing this avatar and using it in all of his videos. So, so it did screw him over. But, it was his own problem. But once that happened, a lot of people started saying, well, we have this hypocritical SJW. Somehow I'm a hypocrite because, somebody else told on Bering or something. And I was like, yeah, whatever. So they contacted the estate of Liechtenstein, who then sent me a letter. And the letter wasn't like, we're going to sue you, because they can't really sue me. But it was like, well, we don't want people to think that you are associated with us. And we don't want people to be confused and think that we are condoning this message. And, I get it. And then I say, well, I'm not going to get into it with somebody this rich. Like, this is not worth it. So I was like, okay, fine. So I voluntarily, like, these weren't DMCA'd. I just shut down. I said, that's fine. I shut down my a lot of my old videos. I just went and put them unlisted, and they're all gone now. And where I'd used it, and I changed all my avatars everywhere, and I didn't, I've completely disassociated myself with that old avatar, which, what can you do?
See, that I would have fought, because I have a certain no, I don't think I rarely mention this, but I'm a comics junkie, and I can I can trace almost everything that he's done or he did
Mm-hmm.
to um, to its original.
Yep.
And I'm and of course I'm completely blanking on the name. He used one artist in particular a lot, who eventually sued him and said, and it took zillions of years to settle, and the artist got nothing. And the artist was just a work for hire and died penniless. So
That's terrible. Yeah. The person that did the original art, I can't remember their name, but they're the same one who sort of did the first ever Mary Jane in Spider-Man. So whoever came up with Mary Jane and Spider-Man also came up with the girl in the with the red ribbon in her hair.
John Romita Jr.
Ah, there you go.
Oh, John Romita Sr. Sorry. I know for most people that's a distinction without a difference, but one's still working and the other one's passed on.
So, and it was just like it wasn't like a major character. It was somebody in it, just someone in a strip, but it was, he was very good. So
Yeah.
I took a stop.
I take I've our I live in Buffalo. This is not a secret. Um, we have a pretty decent art gallery here, and they did have a Liechtenstein exhibit, which I did go to. I did not see yours, incidentally.
Oh.
But I'm like, okay, our army at war number 23. Okay, but yeah, I think it's my mom's fault. I'm obsessed with him. She hated him with a passion.
Oh yeah. that's so that's that's a funny coincidence. I think. Like part of me was annoyed. I'll be honest. I would like the whole thing just annoyed me from start to finish. Like, you know, just like it's one I taking a breath, like because it does annoy me that there is a difference between stealing something, which is something that certain people did, just taking something for no reason other than you're too lazy to do your own thing,
Yeah.
right? And uh, and I do believe that artists should get credit, and I think that artists uh, should get the benefit of their work. They should be paid, Um, so obviously, I had Liechtenstein not been dead, for 30 years, it would have been a little different, I think. But I don't know. I do think that there were differences, and I think, I don't think Liechtenstein their estate had anywhere to stand on. And in
No.
fact, it was really only them going after other people. If they had not gone after other people, I don't. People would still be generally in a place where they respected their branding and their copyright. But because they went after people and people said, "Hey, wait a fucking second. I'll tell you who can come after me, and it's not it's not this guy. It's the one who did the thing that he stole. They can come after me. How about that,
Sure. I mean, I would have put you in touch with John Romita Jr. Yeah, if I'd had time, I would have said, no, let's fight this. And, I didn't know you well enough back then. So.
Yeah. Yeah, it's one of those. I'm sorry I lost some videos that I really liked, or that, I would have, if I wasn't, if it was worth the effort, I'd go back and probably redo them, but it just isn't, it's a lot
Yeah.
of work for old videos. So I kind of lost a year's work, a year and a half.
Yeah, I did. I did. Well, there were specific ones I had to hunt down.
Mm.
They were a little bit difficult.
If anybody wants to see them, I still have them. They're just unlisted, so I can give links.
Oh, I should have just asked you.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't realize you were looking for any of them. But just in general, if people have like, oh, I want to see this, the only ones I uploaded were I re-uploaded the Gad Sad videos. There were 4 videos, and a lot of people like having them in case that they need to debunk certain things, because I went through a lot of different things.
And those are 4 I've not seen.
Ah.
Go figure. I was really, I mean, part of, I mostly wanted to talk about the mama bear things, and a lot of that is buried in the older stuff.
Mm.
So when you first kind of like, not exploded, but Yeah, let's go with exploded.
Sure.
Exploded at people, rather not so much exploded on the scene.
Mm.
But you came in you came in hot.
Yeah.
Um,
I think some things are worth coming in hot for. Like a lot of times a patient and civil and kindly way is the way to go. But sometimes you really have to drop it and say, you know what, this is just fucking unacceptable, asshole. you know? And that's the end of that.
yeah, I would like to learn how to do. I mean, I will do that in print. I won't do that so much on camera. It's just I'm not that way. I'm in a group now, which is I didn't think anybody would ever ask me to do that, but and I wound up being the centrist in the group. It's like, hold on, I'm further left than I'm Kropotkin left.
Yeah. What am I doing here? In the middle.
how, how did I get to be a centrist? And I just got a whole bunch of tweets on how centrist I am. I'm like, no.
Yeah. Fake news.
This is not. But I suppose it's my approach is a little different in just general conversation.
Mm.
I suppose having to appease the chuds in my own life.
Yeah.
Mostly thankfully gone. They disappeared as soon as I showed up in a dress,
I'm usually nicer on YouTube than I am all the time on Twitter. Sometimes on Twitter I can come in pretty hot, you know, because you get to a point where you're just like done having this ridiculous conversation, and when you're getting somebody is trying to just fuck with you as opposed to being honestly asking questions or whatnot. So.
Oh sure. No, just asking questions in my world is a little bit different because just asking questions is always the
Mhm.
three questions, which I'm so fucking tired of answering.
Mhm.
uh, yeah, you what are the three? If archaeologists dig up your bones in 500 years, will they say you're a man or
Oh
a woman?
no.
God.
Well,
Um,
I'll leave a sign that says, "Dear archaeologist, mind your own fucking business."
See, do you know how much pain it is? My pelvic girdle widening. Any idea? For anybody who is wanting to come out trans, do it anyway. It's worth the pain, but
Yeah.
there's a lot of pain involved.
Oh.
The but no, I mean you come in and defend the LGBTQ community a lot. So this is of great value to us, I think.
Aw. I hope it is, Um, I I try because one thing is I definitely want to counteract any of the nonsense that suggests that feminism is anti-trans or anti-LGBTQ, because that is um, just deeply offensive to my soul. And also because, I've said this before, but back when, like I said, I'm old. Back when it was more gay rights that were being given the kind of fight that trans rights are now. There was this sort of, okay, trans people, we need to do this first, and then we can come and do your thing, right? I don't want to
Yeah.
say that was like an explicit thing,
It
but
was. I can say it was an explicit thing.
yeah, but it was certainly presented that way. Like, this is how we're going to do it. We're going to go this first, and then when we can get through this fight and this argument, then we'll move on to the next thing. And so people who nowadays, like, and I know back in the day, that was a legit thing. That was, whether it was wrong or right, it was something that was put forward with a certain amount of honesty by most of the people that I knew anyway.
Yeah.
And
Oh, did I lose you? Hello. I may I may have lost this for a second here. Uh okay. Um since this is done without edits, I think we're actually gonna have to have an edit here. Um
can you hear me?
I can hear you again. Okay, good. I don't have to
Okay.
edit out a lot of silence. Back in your day, this was explicit. You were saying
Yeah.
we got cut off right at where you were explaining why.
Um, yeah, because uh, at the time, things like, well, one of the main things that was happening at the time was the fight over AIDS, and that was so um, that was like sort of an emergency type of fight. People are dying.
Yeah. Nope. I'm losing you again. I'm hoping that's on your end. I don't know. What I will do is reply to this. And if you can hear me, cool. If you can't, uh, I'll reiterate some of it. Somebody put up some meme recently that said, "Are your high school girlfriends, are they still hot?" And I'm like, "Well, yeah, all my girlfriends are still hot because I still know all of them, and all my boyfriends are dead." So that was. Oh, hopefully she's coming back in. Um, that was a very strange thing. Yeah, to explain over here that the trans people were not outside of the queer community, but a lot of people felt like outsiders. How I reacted to it myself was to kind of run away from the queer community entirely, um, which I don't talk about much, and I'm very ashamed of. Um, I'm It's one of those burdens, and I am going to make a video on it. I'm not going to do much essay video. Oh, there's a Chris face. Hello.
Hey, I'm not sure how long this will work. My internet is unstable.
Oh, okay. Um, what I don't know how much of what I kind of just went off a little bit of a tangent, but
I missed all of it because I
that's
just had to re-upload everything. So,
I talked a little bit about a video I want to make on how I dealt with the splits in the queer community way back, which has always been tragic to me. So, um,
but in any event, my my main point is that trans people fought very hard for They fought for the rest of the community very hard, knowing it was not necessarily, in some cases, directly beneficial to them. But it was about being a part of the community and being part of everybody together. And, to me, that is something that the LGBTQ community has to stand together. And it is a point of just absolute, well, it's a point of survival, but it's also a point of doing the right thing. So anybody who tries to tell me that, um, that it is somehow anti-women or anti-lesbian or anti-whatever to support trans people, I have no tolerance for that. They have no idea what they're talking about or how hard people fought.
No. I disappeared from the queer community in the late 80s, and as people were dying, and I've always felt sort of a guilt over that. Right? I just said I have to. I mean, I was getting married, so there's a lot of things that happened, but it was. But activism, I said, okay, I have to get out of this, and my last boyfriend died in 91, which, but I knew a lot of trans people who were some of the only people who would hospice with gay men. Yeah. And AIDS hit. Well, yeah, AIDS hit hard if I say that all my high school boyfriends are dead.
Yeah. Yeah, to say the least. It was, there was a period in like late 80s, early 90s where it was really dark. Like people that you knew all of a sudden were just gone, and it was, it was just a real bad scene for a while. In that sense, it was very sad. And, we were having some of the fights that are similar to ones we're still having, but we were having them as well with this specter of a disease that nobody wanted to talk about, and everyone wanted to treat everyone badly, and over.
Yeah, somebody wrote something about, Ron Reagan wouldn't think that Trump was any good, and I said, as for what, or that Ron Reagan said his father wouldn't think that Trump was any good, and I'm, as a queer kid in the 80s, I have, watching my friends die, I have a few words I'd like to say to the corpse of Reagan.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. They're, in retrospect, they have made a hero and a semi-deity out of him, and on the right anyway, which is so nonsensical on so many levels. He was not a great guy.
No. I mean, there's lots of things you can slam him for, but the amount of people who died. Well, actually, the amount of blowback we're still getting, the Iran thing would not be a thing if not for the way Reagan handled it.
Oh, yeah.
Poor thing. I take it you're not for Trump.
Oh, God. I don't know why you got there. Like, really? No, not really. He's not my favorite.
Just figured I'd had to clarify.
Well, yeah. No, I think you hit on something there.
Um,
Only in
the
as much as I'm not into fascism. Not
oh
really my scene.
well, I mean, apparently I'm a member of the trans mafia, so
Oh, well, yeah.
I don't. I guess you get glittered in. I have no idea how that actually works. I didn't mean to do that while you were drinking. uh, I have it's I am very worried in general about all of this. Um, I live in Buffalo. Canada accepts trans refugees, which good. Uh, um, but I mean, the bridge is well. If I go to my attic, I can see Canada. Uh, um, I worry a lot for. I don't worry so much for myself. I'm used to either hiding or fighting. Um, the I worry for the kids who are coming up who thought it was safe to come out. Um, is safe to be themselves. And I try and encourage that as much. I've become trans mom to a lot of people
Hmm.
just because they need one, and because I found a role in life that fits me.
Good.
Um, no, my actual kid won't talk to me, so barely talks to me. We lives just down the hall from me, and I can't. What are you doing? Nothing. Okay, and then we're done. But I don't know. I like that we have a lot more scrappy people than me because I'm not in print. I am much less scrappy. I will just talk you to death.
Which, we need those, we need all skills.
Yeah, mm, it's tiresome sometimes, but it's a thing.
Mm.
So, do we have hope for this next election? Because I'm at a day where I'm kind of lost hope. I got called a piece of shit for supporting my candidate, and it was like, okay, please, and I put on Twitter, please don't at me. I don't like being told this. I don't say who my candidate is usually.
Mm.
Um, so, and 15 ats later.
Yeah, yeah. No, similar thing. Hap- I I am pro Bernie. He is my candidate. Um, but that doesn't mean that I deify him. I don't think he's the great hope. I just think he is the politician with the policies that are the closest to where I'm at. And so when I say things like, um, we've got to be careful about our rhetoric sometimes, or, we're trying to win an election here. We're not trying to um, prove that he is the greatest person who never did anything ever wrong. Because, as a person from Massachusetts, I've known of Bernie for a long time. I know he's not perfect. That
Yeah,
is like, I don't expect him to be. I'm going to vote for him and support him because of his policies, not because of my complete adoration of him. But to say that online does not necessarily get you a lot of love.
No, and I didn't even say who my candidate. I'm a Warren supporter from. I've wanted her to run since the early '90s. So
Mhm.
um, I'm I may actually be smitten, but
Mm.
it's okay. If Bernie wins, I will vote for Bernie. If Biden wins, I will vote for Biden. I'm not going to slam other people for their choices, and I don't. It makes me dislike his fans. Make me dislike Bernie. It's like Jesus fans.
Yeah, there is a subset. Again, I'm going to get us both in trouble if I talk about this, but
Well,
um,
I'm already in trouble, so
yeah, me too.
no, they won't watch me. The people I'm in trouble with.
Good, good, good. Because, there is a subset out there that are very abusive and they need to be told to stop, and that's not okay. I mean, I tell them that, and, then you get a denial, which bothers me. It bothers me that if somebody, like, if 100 women come to you, or if 20 trans women or 20 trans people come to you and say, I'm being abused,
Yeah.
and it's by this group, I don't want to hear your whataboutisms, and I don't want to hear, oh, well, everybody has bad eggs and everyone, and it's not Bernie's fault, and and I'm sure I don't even know if I believe you because, this is just a smear. Like, and it's like, and we've already debunked this smear. Like, no, you haven't, because I saw it with my own damn eyes. I'm sorry, you're not going to tell me that that doesn't exist, and it's a problem, and it's not okay. It's not okay that uh, that people are abusing other people in Bernie's name. That's not an acceptable thing, whether I love him or hate him. But that doesn't go over well. I'm just going
No,
to say it.
people don't try and argue that it's not happening as they abuse you,
Oh, yeah.
which thank you. I grew up with that. I really don't need I don't need that when it comes to politicians or as close as Bernie and Warren. And I am far left. I am left of freaking Bernie.
Yeah,
You know?
me too. So,
But I also think, I mean, just to get into it, I actually think Warren is better able to stand up to Trump than Bernie is.
and that's a perfectly acceptable opinion. Like, I think that there are a lot of opinions that, I know people who say, look, Bernie might have great policies, but his background with the Democrats is such that he doesn't have the same amount of buy-in, and it doesn't matter what his policies are if he can't get them passed. And I understand that argument. Like, there's plenty of arguments that I think, even if I don't agree with them, I understand them, and they don't make you a bad person to think this way, right? It just, I happen to disagree, but okay.
Well, I mean, I like Bernie. Don't get me wrong, I do. There's some things I don't like about him, which is fine. There's some things I don't like about Warren. There are lots of things I don't like about Biden, but
Yeah, Biden I did not care for, but
um,
I'll vote for him over Trump, but not
I
with
th-
any joy.
I think Biden and Warren are the people who could eat Trump, because Biden is sort of like, oh, come on now, you don't have to be doing that. And Trump doesn't know how to deal with that. And Warren will just go in his face.
Yeah.
But um, that's separate aside from policies. I'm more of a gradualist in practice than I am in theory.
Mm.
like more Kropotkin, I say, but slowly. Uh, and for the trans community, instead of we get some serious good stuff off of Warren, and since ages ago, since the 90s, she's like, okay, well, now what about the trans people?
Yeah.
You're trying to help out the gays, now what about the trans people? And so yeah, maybe it's a personal thing. she,
I think it's fine. I think a lot of different things are valid. I think there are valid arguments for several, and none of them are perfect. And that's sort of where I'm at. Like nobody, my dream candidate couldn't possibly fucking win because, like you, I'm to the left of Bernie, and so that isn't going to beat Trump in this election. We're not there yet. I'm pretty sure.
no.
So I know a number of people who say they just can't vote for Bernie because they think he's a socialist, and he isn't. I think that's an argument I can explain to people, but there are people who won't vote for any of them for whatever reason. So but I definitely think someone who's actually a socialist probably that would be a tough one right now. That's a big leap for America to make, and I'm not sure it's ready.
No, I'm hoping I live long enough for President Cortez. So
Yeah, me too. If not, tell her I said good luck.
well, you're younger than me, so I'm apparently, because I'm trans, I'm gonna die like by suicide any day now.
Oh dear. Well, I hope not.
No, I tried that before the.
Yeah.
um. Yeah, I just keep getting told that on Twitter that well, you're gonna kill yourself any day now.
Yeah. Yes. People on Twitter can be the biggest assholes that there exist.
I well, you have to wrap it back around to the whole line experience, the whole online experience. I find hope for the world in Carl getting fish thrown at him,
Yes.
and that the number one country song is by a gay black man.
It's a little, yeah, it's something.
I will absolutely take what I can get.
Yeah.
This thing doesn't actually tell me how long it's been recording. We did talk a lot before it came on, so I didn't think to check the time. So
do you think I have to get going pretty soon just because my kids aren't feeling well, so I got to go check and see on them? And
yeah, that's where I was trying to wrap up a little bit. I think as much as I want to talk to you like all day, and I really kind of do, and I know we wandered here and there.
Yeah, it was fun. I don't mind wandering.
The yeah, it's actually nice to meet you. Like well, it was face to avatar and now face to face again.
Oh. I didn't do my hair.
One of the nice things about the headphones is I can actually shape it with the headphones. It is wet.
Mm.
So is it I'm going to leave with one question, and it's kind of a yes or no. So can I call you my redheaded little sister again?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Anytime. Can I call you my blonde older sister?
Well, I'm still redheaded. It just doesn't show up quite as much.
Okay, I'll call you my redheaded big sister.
Big sister, yes.
Okay.
Um, so okay, let me just do the. Well, I have to do the YouTube prayer and then my sign off. I am sure you could do the YouTube prayer yourself. Everybody can. Um, if you liked what you see, please consider giving it a like. Uh, Subscribe by all means and hit the bell because you might get notifications um, or not. I have a PayPal for one-time donations if you think this is worth it, and if you think the rest of them are worth it, I'm going back to my regular schedule. So there is a PayPal down there, not PayPal, Patreon down there. It'd be nice. You don't have to. If you're struggling, there is no pressure to do anything. Um, and for the closing, I just want to remind everybody that um, your voice matters, your life matters, and you matter. And thank you so much to Chrisiosity. I am so pleased we finally managed to arrange getting you on.
All right,
Uh,
me too.
all right, you have a good night. Take care of the kids and tell them they have a new uncle, new auntie. Ah, I'm gonna misgender myself right at the end. Shucks.
Well, it happens.
I will talk to you soon. And goodbye to everybody out there in YouTube land.
All right, bye.